Welcome to Cosmic Comics, Games and Collectibles, your zen of geekism. We carry comics old and new, magazines, toys, games like Pokemon, Magic, D&D. Want Godzilla, Ultraman, Star Trek, Ninja Turtles, Funko Pops? You'll find it all here. Shop our Cosmic Sound Room and pick up a record or two. Enjoy our Comic Coffee Lounge with a cup of Sasquatch coffee while geeking out over a super cool movie on our big screen. Cosmic Comic, Games and Collectibles. Superman loves us, and so will you.
Hi everyone, Jason Hunt here, inviting you to join us every Saturday morning for news, the week's headlines in science fiction, fantasy, horror, comic books, video games, plus Comic-Con updates and the weather, and the occasional interview along the way. We call it Good Morning Multiverse. We hope you join us every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 Central, right here on Sci-Fi For Me TV.
And good evening, everybody. I am RJ Carter, Senior Managing Editor here at CriticalBlast.com, Chief Envelope Licker for Critical Blast Logistics, myopic proofreader for Critical Blast Publishing, and I do answer the phones and walk you through your data issues, putting my 35 years of IT and database design experience to work for you with your crowdfunded data when you have a problem. Tonight, we are digging into the world of crowdfunded comics on the Kickstarter side of the house. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome with me to the show, Mr. Phil Russertt.
Hey, what's going on?
It's been a day, Phil, but let's talk comics and make it more fun. How you doing tonight, man?
Good, thanks. How are you? I appreciate having me on.
I'm glad to do it. I was telling you before the show, your wall is just covered with original artwork there. Do you have any favorites? I mean, anything that's holding a position of honor among all that?
One of the jams you can't see because it's directly behind my head is probably my favorite. It was the first one I got. My wife is actually drawn on it as well, and it's got some of my favorite artists. You know, Phillip, David Finch, and Neil Adams is on it. Will Spertasio. So it's probably my sentimental favorite. Oh boy.
Yeah, that's a lot of names, and some of those aren't. At least one of those isn't with us anymore. So.
Yeah.
So
Chris is on here, Hero Shack.
I see. Yeah, he's one of my favorite comic bros is in the chat. So he's even uglier live. Oh my gosh, he's talking about me. He's seen me live many times.
We were brought up that the guys that you like are the ones you busted chops, right?
That's right. So I'm not going to do that. That doesn't mean I don't like it. It just means I have to be the host. Everyone can come on and bust my chops all they want, but we have love for Phil in the chat, so glad to have that. And by the way, the book we're talking about, folks, if you want to show your love for Phil as well, is linked right below the video. You can click it at any time. It will take you to Kickstarter for Tragedy number 4. My God, the last time you were on my channel, we were talking about Tragedy number 1. So it's been a minute.
Yeah, I've been pushing hard, and we've got 4 books out within the year, pretty much. Just over a year, and doing the grind. Like everybody else.
Wow, was it a year ago? Because I'm thinking, crowdfunded books, 4 books. You obviously were on here 12 years ago because that's the rate, right? It's
book 1 was I guess it was last June. Maybe I was on your show. May or June. That's when book 1 came out, right? No, wait, not last May, the year before. Yeah, so it's like a month. It's like a year and 2 or 3 months, I guess.
Time flies when you're having fun and making comics. So, and you must love it, or you wouldn't do it, right? I mean, you're not in it for the money. You couldn't possibly be in it for the money.
Yeah, there's no money to be made, that's for sure. I mean, just making enough money to continue to make the book. But I just want to get it out there and have people read it, and I think they'll enjoy it. And it's just hoping that they take a chance on it.
So what was it about the story that is Tragedy that was strong enough that compelled you to say, this is the one I have to write?
Well, that's the funny thing. A lot of people, they have these stories in their head that they've built up over time, and they do their outlines and they do all their prep and they do all this stuff, and then they connect the dots and all the the events that happen. I do it. I didn't. I don't. I literally sit down and write an episode, an issue in straight off the top of my head in 4 hours or 5 hours, a whole issue. I don't put the pressure on myself of where it has to go. I just write, and what comes out tends to flow and make sense. And I'll just go back and maybe make a few edits later. But the image of her just popped in my head one day, and I was like, "Oh, this is interesting. What is this?" And then I just said, I was intimidated by the idea of writing, and then I was like, well, what are you intimidated by? There's no pass or fail. Nothing happens to you in life if you don't write well. You just do what you do. So I just sat down and started writing. I didn't know what I was going to write or what was going to come out, but that was it.
And you didn't have any trouble at all adapting to the format of a comic strip, which is basically a story with art direction involved.
No, I do. I think I do a good blend of when I have a specific camera angle or I have a specific scene set up that I want, I'll put it in the script. But then there's also a lot of times where I want to give the artist artistic freedom. I mean, that's their specialty, right? I do the writing, but they do the sequential storytelling. So the artist that I work with, Ricardo, we have a nice give and take of, giving him freedom. And then there's times where, okay, I want this specific, bird's eye view or worm's eye view or over the right shoulder, 90-degree angle or whatever. Like the first page of Tragedy, I specifically wanted it that way. Um, it was a splash page. And then, like in the fight scenes, I choreograph tightly sometimes. And then sometimes I'll say, look, these 5 panels or 4 panels on this page just show some dynamic sword fighting with her being, acrobatic and graceful, you know?
Well, the campaign that's up right now, you're more than twice the amount you needed to fund. You're almost at 3 times the amount of funding. Has this been a steady growth, or is this kind of par for the previous issues? I mean, how is it performing?
Well, the first one we came out of the gate, we did just over 10 grand, and it was amazing. We had 226 backers. The second one we had about $100 to $200 worth of growth, and we had another 5 or so backers. So there was small growth. And then the third one, we shot up. We did 13 grand, and just under 13 grand, we had 260 backers, and it was we're trending high. We're doing great. I don't know if it's the economy, but this one, I hear Kickstarters are down all over the place, but this one is not trending to meet the 10 grand of the first one or the backer level at this point. But you keep plugging away and you do what you can, and hopefully by the time Kickstarter takes their money and shipping takes the money and everything takes the money, you have enough to continue forward with the next book.
Yeah, and it's you still got 8 days to go. It's over a week, and traditionally with a Kickstarter or an Indiegogo, this is where things start to ramp up and spike up again. You go through that trough. People like, it's going to be over in 2 weeks. I'll wait 2 weeks and hold on to my money.
Right. I mean, I have the followers are growing, as far as, how on Kickstarter you could see a conversion rate where there's followers and then who turns into a backer. So the follower number keeps going up. So I'm hoping that the conversion rate goes up by the end of the campaign.
We're at 161 backers right now at 65.26. Let's go ahead and share the screen so people can see what we're looking at here. And of course, we played the video at the beginning of the show tonight. These trailers, you guys who wanted to go into making comic books, you've had to become cinematographers and get these animated trailers going into effect. Is that something that you were ready for when you first got into making the comic? Did you even know you were going to have to do this kind of thing?
Yeah, I didn't even think about a trailer, but statistics show that campaigns with trailers do a lot better than without. And I know that like more cinematic trailers, as opposed to just me standing there talking, do better as well. So I'm fortunate to have Let's Do This.com, Andy Lee. He does my trailers for me. I just give him the pages in the book and say, work your magic. And he always comes out with something great. And I appreciate him very much. Because, I think I'm smart enough to know when to defer where, someone's expertise. I don't have that. I don't have that kind of ego. I don't need to be in control of everything. So sometimes the best thing to do is just rely on the people that's their specialty. That's what they know to do.
Yeah, in the words of the great Clint Eastwood, a man's got to know his limitations.
Yes, there you go.
So, I wouldn't be able to do a trailer like that. I would be, I would do the same thing. Hire somebody out for it, but they're expected. It's part of the campaign. You don't have a trailer, people sometimes won't even scroll down. It's like, I want to read. I want to be told what I'm looking at here. This image, I asked you for images and you gave me the artwork as well as the link to the campaign. First thing I hit was the link to the campaign. I'm like, I don't need any more images. I've got the right there. That was perfect. What the hell is this? Because this is not a panel from a comic book. This is gorgeous art.
So Rob Powers did the font for Tragedy. And if you notice, it's kind of a ballerina slipper if you look at the bottom, the way it curves.
I get it, yeah.
Yeah, and I just loved it. And then his wife Maura, she popped it out 3D, threw in this ballerina in the background that's kind of basking in blood, and made this incredible image. So, so it's just amazing. Again, knowing the right people to hire for a job.
Yeah, that's print level or refrigerator magnet level. It's next level stuff there. It's a fantastic piece of
And the
art to
symbolism in it is
push it.
just fantastic. It's telling a story, so it's fantastic. And I think we've gotten away from that. A lot of pinup art and stuff is just pretty art, but there's no story behind it anymore. Covers used to tell stories in their own right. So
Yeah,
I
they had
love
word
seeing stuff
balloons.
like this. Yeah, exactly. So I love when people do pieces of art that give you a story. They tell you something.
Yeah. Now, your main character, she's an Irish assassin, but before that, she was an Irish ballerina, which you don't hear often. I don't know. I always think ballerinas are Russian or French. Um, I never really
Well,
thought of
she
one
lives
from
in
Ireland.
Manhattan, and there is the theater district there. So you can join a ballerina troupe. I guess that's what you would call it, a troupe. I don't know.
Sure.
I'd have to look that up. Um, but she was very young, and her life was taken from her very young and very quickly, and that's part of her struggle in this story.
So who is she an assassin for?
So the Irish Mafia in the '70s was called the Westies, and they truly did operate in Hell's Kitchen. Um, and by the '80s, they were kind of gone. But there are Irish Mafia lords, I guess you could call, in Ireland themselves, and they do have satellite places where in other countries where they work from, and they manage from Ireland. So tragedy is about Grace O'Connor, whose father was the head of the Irish Mafia in the New York division, and he had his right hand man Seamus and Seamus' wife Deirdre, and Seamus and Deirdre can't have kids. Her father's killed. I mean, obviously he's in a bad line of work. That's sadly what's going to happen more likely than not. Seamus adopts her because they can't have children, but Seamus is a sociopath, and he groomed her from 16 years old. He sent her away for 12 years to train to be an elite assassin because he wanted to have an elite assassin. Um, so there's this dynamic going on. Like I don't know how many people have been in a relationship where they knew they deserved better from that person, but they stay anyway, and they keep seeking out that person's love and respect that they're never going to get. So it creates this vicious cycle, and then it becomes self-loathing because of it. So she deals with that while dealing with a life of being an assassin, which she does not want, obviously. Um, and she's struggling. How many times have we woke up when the alarm went off in the morning and we're like, oh God, I don't want to face this day. I just want to pull the covers back over my head.
I've had
And
jobs where I pulled into the parking lot, waited to see if anybody was around, and just screamed at the top of my lungs with the windows up. And then I was fine. I got out and I walked into work.
yeah, I mean, it's tough that we have to live lives like that, but our strength is that we move forward. We keep doing it anyway, and we do what we have to do. But we also tend to get lost in where we don't. We either convince ourselves that this is it, we can't have a better life, or it's never going to be a better life, or we think we don't deserve one, and you get stuck in a rut. And that's also what she's facing while fighting rival mafias, metahumans. There's Chinese mysticism, martial arts. There's gunplay. It's um, I think comics got away from spandex action and fun, so I have that in there, not just exposition, but we have some fun action scenes.
Yeah. So this is a world of super science and supernatural. She's just not. She's just well trained.
Right. I mean, she had been trained in firearms use and explosives and grapple combat and wrestling and boxing, but she had also trained in martial arts and bladed weapons and things of that nature. So she has her arsenal of weapons, but she is a regular human being.
Okay. So the conflict that I've heard so far is between her and her feelings for her father, her seeking his admiration or at least his approval. What's the physical confrontation that's going on here? Has it been going on since issue one? Is this an ongoing arc, or is this more episodic?
Well, I write in a like a web kind of way where I'm opening subplots that you may not even be realize are happening, right? Or introducing characters that you don't realize are going to be something more later while dealing with things. But I also close off some plot lines while opening new ones because I don't want to frustrate readers. But life is this intricate web, right? I mean, everybody we meet is a subplot in some way, even if it's 5 minutes of our life or 5 years. Um, Her physical confrontations and struggles are with adversaries. I have a great rogues gallery I'm really proud of. But in issue one, she faces the Chinese mafia assassin. His name is Breath of the Dragon. And this story actually, I mean, it's about Grace, but it is also about Breath of the Dragon. I wouldn't call him a villain. He's an adversary by circumstance. And in the first issue, uh, we saw in the trailer, things don't go well for her when she fights him because he has an ability that I don't think anybody's ever used before in a comic, and you can't really beat him. So he, as you saw, a little Frank Miller homage, and she's off a roof, and she's a hot-headed Irish woman. I mean, I'm Irish. We get angry. Um, so we don't take defeat very well. Um, uh, I mean, it's no secret she survives because otherwise it wouldn't be on issue 4. But
Yeah, you got to keep the story going.
it's just the surprise is how and why she survives and her connection to other characters in the story. But Breath of the Dragon, and I reveal it in book 2. I mean, he's a high level martial artist, Olympic class athlete, bladed weapons, etc. He has his 2 gauntlets. One is a flamethrower. One is a poison neurotoxin that can paralyze opponents. But his ability, which I get into how he got it in books 3 and 4, is he wears armor because he has to be on top of you in a fight. He has to be in proximity of you. So he fights you relentlessly. You can't shake him. And the reason is, if he's in proximity of you, he can read your future 3 to 5 seconds. So he knows what you're going to do before you do it. So you can't beat him in a fight. He knows you're going to throw the right hook or the uppercut, or he knows what you're going to do. So you can't tag him if he uses his ability. I mean, there are things that can counter that, like if you were super fast, or I have a character actually has an interesting ability that counteracts that. But for the most part, he's unbeatable. He's a force of nature.
Okay. So you have mobster enforcers fighting mobster enforcers. Who's the hero?
Well, that's the thing. Grace is ultimately the hero, but she's going on the journey of finding who she is and what matters most, and finding her strength and her confidence, because she's like a lot of people, but also like every woman I've ever met. They don't know how strong they are, how capable are, how beautiful they are, and us men pay for it, of course. But
Yes.
so it's really about her discovering who she is and what she wants out of life. And there's a character that is brought in that helps her see that maybe you can have a life you want, but you got to work hard for it. It's not coming easy. You think it's hard facing the day that you don't like every day, but obviously that's the easy part, or you change it. You know,
Yeah.
Making the change in your life, the drastic change, is the hard part. That's why we continue to just live our miserable lives a lot of times, is because there's comfort and safety in the devil I know as opposed to the devil I don't.
I get you there. Mike Walters has dropped in to like and share the stream. Thank you, Mike. Do appreciate
Hi,
that.
Mike.
Mike will be doing the mic stand at the top of the hour. So, when we finish here, I'll hop over there and get your dose of niche news for the day. I guess where I was going with this is that she's an assassin. So, her dad's not sending her out to get groceries or to pick up,
Right.
payoffs from, other Irish lower level, mafia thugs and stuff. So I would expect, and Maybe she hasn't, maybe she won't. But I would expect in a world full of super people, she's going to run into somebody who's on the side of truth, justice, and such and such. Um, and and she's going to, be in battle with them because she's on the wrong side of the legal side of that.
Well, the funny thing is, her and Breath of the Dragon are mirror images for different reasons. He too is doing. Good people do bad things all the time, and bad people can do a nice thing every once in a while. It's never cut and dry, and those make the most interesting characters because I've done bad or stupid things in my life that um, maybe I didn't realize or I thought I had to do at the moment. And then you what makes you good is that you feel remorse for it or you correct the ship. You straighten yourself out. But we're fallible. We're all human, and mistakes are part of us. As far as her assassin being an assassin, she's always targeted to kill other um, criminals. So what helps her get through is just the fact that, look, I don't want to kill anybody, but at least they're bad people. I'm getting rid of bad people. And because
Okay.
let's face it, we'll all justify in our own minds the things we do, right? You know, I really, God forbid, but someone who's starving, they'll go steal. Now, is technically stealing a morally not right thing? Sure, but is it morally wrong to feed your family? So not everything is always so cut and dry. And again, we're just exploring her figuring it all out, and she wants out of this life, but she doesn't think she can. She thinks she's stuck. She thinks she's being punished by whatever. She just deserves it. So
So she hasn't been put in a situation where she's had to kill somebody. Like, say, Daddy says, hey, you know what? Inspector Lieutenant Frazetta is getting a little bit too close to the operation.
no, nothing like that has happened, and I purposely stayed away from that because I do want to maintain the fact that deep down she is a hero. Because like I believe in redemption stories, but um, like Darth Vader, he was evil and he redeemed himself, and okay, that's great, but you can't take away all those deaths, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to, I try to keep the story where she's killing bad people, she's not killing good people. But it's funny to say that I've written 26 issues, and they're all going to become the first 5 issues kind of resolve a lot, and she starts to be able to go off on her own a bit. So she's a little bit more of master of her destiny, and that's where she starts that exploration of finding herself. Because sometimes we won't do it ourselves. We need to be thrust into it. We need a life circumstance to kick us to go the way we really should be going.
Yeah.
So
It's a lot easier to root for a technical bad guy when you see that they're actually going after worse people, even if they're going after them ruthlessly. I think that's what made the original run of Jennifer Blood so engrossing. She was taking out other mobsters who had ruined her family.
right, but like the Punisher, or
Yeah,
anti-heroes.
exactly. Uh, so the pages we got here, where are we coming into this book at here? Because she's in the hospital. Looks like Breath of the Dragon has gone back to his headquarters. Um,
So
what has gone before?
Breath of the Dragon, he went back to China to an Asian temple where he had trained in his youth. It's also where he went through a ritual to get his abilities. Basically, there's an ancient Chinese ritual where when you have focused your chi, and that's when you've established an inner peace, a oneness with self. Your energies are your chi. While we're all part of nature, well, the energies of nature combined with your chi with this ritual, and when they do, they will bring about an inner ability based on your personality. He was always a very astute student. Like the master poses a question, and he would often come to the answer on his own. So he developed a sense of clairvoyance when he went through the ritual. Now, only 3 people have gone through the ritual in over 100 years, because achieving that kind of peace and balance is a very, very difficult thing. But if you start to lose your focus, your powers will go wonky. Um, and if you go through the ritual and you haven't focused your chi, it'll make you go mad.
And then they've got to take care of that because you can't just have these people wandering around with
Well,
that kind of level of power.
the page that you just showed is actually a new villain who's being kind of introduced in a way. It'll be the first appearance. He looks like Lenin. He basically went through the ritual and was a hero. I'm spoiling stuff here, but we got to get people to read the book. Um, and he developed an ability. He was killed in battle, as it's telling you there, and his grieving father, using dark magic, resurrected him and brought him back to life, and then put him through the ritual again. But because he was resurrected from dark magic, he wasn't focused, he wasn't healthy, but because he had died and come back, he was able to go through the ritual again as if he was a new life. So he developed a second ability, but the second one is a more aggressive ability, hence him being volatile. So he's gone mad and he has these two abilities, which makes him very strong, very powerful. And he's going to be something to deal with later.
All right. So we're getting into the campaign itself now. Before we look at the stretch goals, let's talk about the book. The main reason we're here, which is the book. What are we looking at page count wise and heft? I mean, here, where's our? We can't be starting off with variant number F. That doesn't make sense.
It goes by prices a lot of times. That's why, but it should be the digitals are first.
Okay. Yeah, the digital is the first.
Yeah.
In fact, you have a. That's the pledge without reward. Okay, so $6 for the digital of this chapter 4, and then the blank cover for $10. So $10 is a good start. $8 shipping, perfect.
Yeah, to be
so
honest
tell
with you,
your page
shipping has
count and your
gotten
artist.
shipping has gotten so expensive. I'm trying to keep it at $8, but they're getting out of hand. So the first book is 30 pages. The second book is 36 pages. The third book is 28 pages. Oh, I'm sorry, the second book's 28 pages. Third book's 36 pages. The fourth book is 30 pages. So it's like 94 pages of story, just for the first 3 books alone. So I don't write for page count. I'm a small-time publisher myself. I'm not answering to anybody, so I write for when the story should stop. I've been told that I'm great with cliffhangers, and each issue ends with an awesome cliffhanger. I mean, that's what I'm told. You'd have to read it yourself to decide. So I try to write the story to where it makes sense to stop it, as opposed to keep it to a page count, because I think it affects writing.
Okay. You do have the stretch goals listed first, so we'll just take a look at them here. 2 of them are unlocked. You've got the sticker here, which is the tragedy character sticker. This is, that's Steph, isn't it?
Steph Wilson, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he restrained himself on that one.
Yeah, I asked him to, because her strength isn't in her sexuality. I didn't want that for the character. I have nothing against sexuality. I mean, I've got kids. I kind of had to be attracted to someone, but for my character, I didn't want her strength to be in her boobs or her butt. But I like Steph's art, and I like Steph, and so we decided. I said, "Hey, can you do something that's not, over the top sexual?" And he's like, "Sure."
Yeah, and then the other one you got is you got a chibi 5x7 print. I've not seen prints of chibis before. I've always seen them as like stickers or buttons.
Yeah, I'm doing this series. They're unlocked stretch goals, and then I offer them as add-ons if you didn't have the last few campaigns of the different characters in the stories. So I have a chibi of Tragedy, one of Breath of the Dragon, one of a guy named Tony, who's super strong and invulnerable, and this is Joe, the head of the Italian mafia, who can actually duplicate himself up to 3 duplicates.
Okay. So kind of like Madrox, but limited. Just like
Right.
like Triplicate Girl. There we go.
Right. Now I don't know. It's just the number is different as far as, and he's also like trained in MMA fighting and stuff like that. So now you're fighting his 3 duplicates and him, which is 4 total to who can fight really well.
Yeah. Coming up, of course, you'll have a 5x7 print at 8,000, which is not out of reach right now. And then a comic-sized print at the 11K mark. And then who knows? We got to get these other stretch goals here, folks. You can help us with this tonight by clicking the link below the video and throwing some money at this campaign. It's got 8 days to go. Here is what we so you got the original art sketch covers.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I have
saw
more
two
I'm
there
gonna
through
add.
me.
Yeah, I have 2 more I'm going to add, but we have I had artists that I represent do sketch covers. That's Zealot, Jim Lee Zealot versus Tragedy. She's from Wildcats. She's with Grifter. And then I had Breath of the Dragon versus Taskmaster.
So is that a mask he's wearing now?
Yes, it's a helmet.
Okay.
And then I
That's
have
very cool.
and Electro versus Tragedy by Sean Carlson. The other one was Kenny Calderon. And then I had Deathstroke the Terminator versus Breath of the Dragon.
These are all good
a-
matchups.
I have a Domino versus Tragedy I'm going to add tonight. That was
Sean
and I have
Carlson.
another Tragedy one to add. This one here was Mike Lilly. He was Catwoman, Batman, Nightwing artist. He did Quasar. He's done Dynamite and some other companies. He did this fully colored sketch cover that sold. So it was
That was
awesome.
beautiful.
Anvu did this for me. She painted, I think it's watercolor. I'm not sure. To be honest with you, I'd have to look at the original. And this is Mike Gerlich who offered this. It's Breath of the Dragon with his helmet off. So those are all original sketch covers.
And if you don't like any of those, you want your own, you can get the blank one yourself of number 4 here. And take it to have somebody else draw the character. It's an intricate looking character too. I mean, this is not somebody walking around in a black body stocking with a stocking cap over their eyes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm partially colorblind. Like I said, the image just popped in my head, so I can't say that I did all this intricate thinking. But red is a color that always catches the eye, and I thought red and white it's not really used. You don't see it really, so I thought it'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, the outfit minus the mask, it kind of reminds me of Billy Tucci's She would be like a good team up cover between the two characters.
Well, Billy's a good friend of mine who lives a few blocks away, so I can't speak on that, but stay tuned.
Oh, okay. We might be hinting at something, folks. And this is cover A. I love this. She's in this metaphor. It looks real, but I'm sure it's a metaphorical grave filled with the bodies that she probably put there.
And the Breath of the Dragon's arm is coming out to grab her.
Yeah. This is
Kevin Stewart. It's a great cover.
This is some inner mental turmoil going on here. Cover B by Jose Luis, not Garcia Lopez. Just stopping there.
Just Jose Luis, right? He does Teen Titans in DC, and he's doing a bunch of other stuff for them.
Yeah, and you got inks by Livesay, so very nice.
Yeah, and Alex Sinclair will color. Joe Prado was going to color it. I mean, was going to ink it, but he got stuck with deadlines, so he had to bail out. But unfortunately, on the written tier, someone had backed it already, so I can't remove his name.
Yeah.
So I want to make it clear to everyone, it's not me trying to lie to you or false advertisement. Joe Prado was going to do it and had to back out, but I can't change his name on the text of the tier. It's John Livesay that is doing the inking. Yeah,
you know what you do with those is you hide that tier and you make a new one that has the correct stuff on it. Yes, you can.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, you can make a new tier that will say the right thing, and then you can hide the one. It'll still keep the person's backing on it, so you won't lose that, but it won't be displayed anymore.
I didn't know that. All right, cool. Thank you for telling me.
They have to have something to remedy these kinds of situations because they come up all the time.
Kickstarter doesn't have some remedies for some of their issues, unfortunately.
I know.
And they don't seem to care.
Don't get me started on pulling Kickstarter data because it can be a nightmare.
I know.
Depending on how you set up your add-ons.
Yeah, getting your printed list and your add-ons is So this is Alan West, who he did a Marvel and DC, and he did like Guardians of the Galaxy in the '90s and stuff. Amazing. This cover is not getting any love. I'm really surprised. Colors by Chris Sotomayor. I love this cover.
Yeah, it's a good. They're all good looking covers. This one here, this is a Breath of the Dragon. Yeah, that's just crazy. That's
Yeah, it's
you
Ruth
got the
Lucas.
ballerina side and the Ruth Lucas.
Yeah, and Alex Sinclair did the colors. That Jim Lee's colorist, and he's done more than Jim Lee, of course. He's done Ivan Reis or Rice or however you say his name.
I've heard Iwan Reyes, so it's I have no idea until I meet the man. I went I had him on the show and told him, says it was Carl Kiesel. I was like, I spent 30 years pronouncing your name like I just smuggled something from Darth Vader.
Yeah, he's going to be at New York Comic Con. I'll see him then.
Oh, cool. This one here now here's another Steph Wilson artwork. This is the same piece that was the
sticker
in the stretch goal. Yeah.
He did make the boobs big on this one. They were usually smaller on the others, but we got.
They're still a little. They're not Steph Wilson big. I mean, his whole drawing model is shove 2 olives on a toothpick and stand it there and draw a character around it.
It works for him, that's for sure.
And we love it. It's just cover F is this one here by Envu. This is the $15 one. This is, like you said, they're sorted by price and then letter. You do have a lot of tiers for the different variant covers.
Yeah, I do a lot of different covers. I like to employ artists and give them work, and I love to celebrate art, as you can see behind me. So to be honest with you, it'd be probably more cost effective to do less covers.
Yeah, because you can't print 100 of each one of them. They're going to be like smaller runs of each, right?
Yeah, I mean, it costs me more, and I might change the model down the road, but I do like to employ artists and give them opportunities. We have 2 guys that have never had a published cover before, so even though I'm small time, to them it was important.
Sure. Yeah, I completely understand that because we do anthologies, and I always try to make sure I have published names in there and then new artists and new creators in there, so they can say they've been in a book with a certain person. Do you print to order, or do you print for advanced sales? Like if somebody backs, if you back 13 copies of one of these covers, are you going to tell the printer send me 20, or are you going to say send me 70 and plan on selling at cons and stuff?
I'll usually print a little bit higher to sell at conventions, but it also depends on how successful the campaign is, because my goal is set at 2,500. That's the bare minimum that I would need. So if the goal, what I make off the campaign dictates a lot, but I usually minimum 5 extra issues to sell at a show. If a cover didn't do well on the Kickstarter, I might not do more than like a couple, see how they move.
Yeah, enough for damage control.
Yeah,
and replacement.
And
Kenny
of course,
Calderon's
I give
got
comps
2.
to all these artists, so.
Yeah. So Kenny Calderon's got 2 covers here. The one we just saw, maybe more. I might have missed his name.
He's
before.
got 2.
This one here, where
That's
she's
like the manga version, like the Cowboy Bebop kind of manga style.
Yeah. And then Jason Parrott for cover I.
Yeah, that's his
coming out of the exploding glass.
Cover.
That almost looks like it's a chromium kind of cover, but that's just the coloration, right?
Yeah, it's just the coloration, but it probably look great in a chrome foil. But no one's selected that yet, so.
Oh, okay.
I do have an add-on to make it a foil, so. And this is Carl Allen Wiles. It's his first published book as well.
Excellent work on all of these. Ray Acevedo.
Yeah, he this is his second cover with me. He did a nice one the last time as well.
Becky Fuller. I'm not familiar with her name.
She's Shannon Mayer's girlfriend and manager, and she had broken into doing coloring and things like that. And I just thought this cover had a less is more feel.
Yeah, Shannon Meyer, you said?
Yeah.
I know Shannon Meyer. interviewed him for our website long before I knew about crowdfunded comics. What is his print set? It's the Pixies.
He does a lot of Marvel and DC variant covers at this point.
Yeah, at this time he was doing like these modern Pixies. So you'd have like this little Tinkerbell dressed all sexy and sitting on a laptop keyboard. He good stuff. Very cool stuff. Yeah, and I think I saw some of his Zenoscope stuff that he had done for Oz. Brian Silverback's got a cover here where she sliced open the page. Now, if you tell me that was the first page, that would be awesome. But I know it's not because I've seen it.
Yeah, it's not, but it is cool, right? And then the next one we have a blood splatter version that he did that I thought was cool, so I decided to put them both up.
Gotcha. Yeah. Two different covers, two nice changes on the covers for that. Cover O. We are moving on up. We're running out of alphabet.
That's the last one.
Lynn Danovich here. Now, I'd like this. This is black and white and red. Really makes that red pop.
Yeah, I thought doing a full color would do a disservice to the book and his art style. I thought just doing this touch of red, that splash of red would do it. Would be
and her hair, which is a different color than absolute red, but
right. And then we have art
books. Cool.
Yeah, for the first 2 issues covers, because we had covers from Ian Churchill, Will Spatasio, Larry Stroman, a lot of Sean Chen.
And this looks like it's going to be one of these spiral bound kind of deals.
No, I don't know why you did that in the graphic. It's a comic book, but it's 50 pages.
Okay. I just want to be clear on that so people, know. And then the mystery box.
Now, I just want everybody to know, a lot of people do mystery boxes, and they're just looking to get rid of inventory that didn't sell. I'm not doing that. You can get an Ian Churchill cover or a Will Spatasio cover. You might even get it in foil. If you ask anybody who backed the last campaign's mystery boxes, they got some really good stuff. Because I always hate you spend that money in a mystery box and you're like, I got crap. What the hell is this? I know the appeal is people like to be surprised, but you got to get something good. I mean, I've had people get a foil Ian Churchill, a foil Edan, cover in the same box.
You really hunt down a lot of artists.
Yeah, I know a lot of artists. I run my own convention, so I've made a lot of friends and networking in the industry.
Okay, that makes perfect sense then, because I'm like, dang, this guy's just going walking up and down the halls of Image saying, "Hey, I need a cover."
No, no, I've been around for a while. I just haven't published a book. I've been putting out shows for years, and I've been an art collector, getting to know people for years. So I've been around. Okay. Yeah, you just didn't know. People didn't know me because I wasn't doing anything in the spotlight.
I'm here in the middle of the country, so I don't get to go all those coastal conventions.
But yeah, you're gonna get a metal. I have the metal print here. Actually, it's a comic size metal print.
That's beautiful print.
Cover. Yeah, it's
that's just some gorgeous artwork on that one.
Yeah, I promise you, the mystery boxes, you don't get garbage. You won't get garbage.
More on the add-ons here. You got some of the die cut stickers. This was a no-brainer right here. Putting just in the tragedy mask, perfect. Yeah. If I would have added anything else, I'd have said try to get a die cut of the logo, even if it was like over the tragedy mask and then die cut around it, just so that people could say, "Oh, look, there's something called tragedy. Let's
I thought about that, and you're right. I should.
But it's also good on its own too. I mean, it's beautiful.
Right.
Are they stickers? Yeah, they are stickers.
Yeah,
okay.
They're stickers. The die cut stickers.
I've been collecting die cut refrigerator magnets lately because stickers go on my computer, and then my computer dies, and I lose all my stickers. Like my refrigerator dies, I get a new refrigerator, and I take all the magnets off.
You know what I do when my daughters get stickers? I take a white sheet of paper that fits in a frame, and I put them on the frame. I mean, on the paper, and then I frame that paper with all the different stickers.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, and they keep them that way, and they hang it up on the wall, and you get the cool sticker art.
I've been like sticking them in my my trading card sleeves. I'll have like a section for just the stickers. Put them in those, but cool. They don't always fit. Like this Arachna sticker that's on my work table here. It's like 6 inches long. No way it would fit. these are the chibi mini prints that you just talked about earlier
Yeah.
for issues 1, 2, and 3. So you can add on those from the previous issues. And then holy
Yeah,
moly,
that's
this is
the Jose Luis cover. I did the original art as a comic size print. So if you decide to buy the colored cover and you want to hang that up next to it, you can put them together.
yeah, just the amount of detail in this. And this is the penciled version. This isn't the inked version. I love penciled art.
Yeah, it's phenomenal what he did. And
This
then
is
that's the
the ink
Kevin
one from
West
Kevin.
inked, yeah. And then you can make anything a virgin, or you can make anything a foil, or you can make it a virgin foil.
Oh, so you can you just an add-on. Say, hey, give me that one, but take the logo off.
Yeah, for a few bucks more, you can make it a virgin or a foil, or you can make it a virgin foil.
Yeah, and you can only do it once due to the limitations of Kickstarter. And yeah. See, that's the thing. If you can, the one thing that Kickstarter is missing, and Indiegogo for that matter, on their tiers and their add-ons, is a quantity field that you can just drop down and say, yeah, this 6 of them,
Right.
rather than having to go in and back and back and back and back and back.
Yeah, they make it difficult. I've had people be like, "Hey, I wanted to, you know," or like say you can't do an add-on for like say that sketch cover. They have to go back and readjust their pledge, because it's a one of one. So you have to make that your main pledge as opposed to an add-on. So
Yeah, and doing what I do when people make multiple pledges, it's fun. I mean, our software condenses it down to a single address and then sums up everything they bought, but it can get tricky because of the way that Kickstarter deals with their add-ons. If you're adding on something that's a SKU that you already put in the system for a tier, it will say, hey, they added on this, but we've already carried the number over for you because it matched.
right.
If you misspell it, or you say, hey, physical book, and then they add on this physical book main cover, they'll put it in the add-on, but they won't carry it forward because there's nothing to drop it off on. So you have to be careful of like, do I read the add-ons or do I ignore the add-ons? I've had nights of frustration trying to get the code to accept what Kickstarter does. But that brings us to the last thing, which is the Make Mine foil, where you can take, again, any cover, one of them, and say, I want the foil on it. Oh, Phil, you're going to run into the customers like, I want virgin foil. What are you going to do?
Yeah, I get them, and they've actually been able to do it. They can add on one as the foil and add on one as the virgin, so it works out. It's been okay.
Okay, so they can make it virgin, and then the virgin version becomes a foil virgin version.
Yeah, well, what they do is they're paying for the add-on, each add-on, and they just have to note in the survey which one is supposed to be the virgin foil, because
Okay.
the way it is, you can't denote which one you're doing that for. Like I've had people do, like I do a pick any three. I've had people do pick any three, and then they did the add-on for virgin, the add-on for foil, and they write in the survey, make this one, whatever, or they do that. They'll pick a book and then pick any three, and they'll do the 2 add-ons they paid for, and then they'll say make that book that they chose to be.
That's got to drive you crazy with fulfillment and ordering.
It's actually okay using the spreadsheet to me is useless because it doesn't show you the add-ons, it doesn't show you everything else. It's just stupid. I hate their spreadsheet. So I just go to the backer report and I print that up. I'll screenshot it and print it up, and you get everything for each backer right there. So
yeah, sometimes that's easier to read, and it's definitely a way to that we use to double check the numbers that we calculate.
right.
Like, hey, this guy's getting 11. Is that right? No, he's not. He's getting 5.
And I also have a cross-reference system, where I'll pull orders. I get them ready to be packed up in a Gemini, and that pile goes to someone else who's going to recheck that order as correct before we close up the Gemini. Knock on wood, we haven't had any mistakes yet. So.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've had mistakes, but I've caught them before they went out anywhere.
Right.
So, thank goodness. So that brings us to the end of the campaign here. We are still at 161 backers, folks. This is now the time where, hey, show's over, go spend money on Tragedy. And of course, it wasn't said, but I'm sure that the add-on is there. It wasn't said explicitly. I know I saw it, where you can get 1, 2, and 3. So you don't have to jump in with 4, right? I mean,
Yes, correct. And I just want everybody to know, look, I know times are hard financially, and our money needs to go where we trust it's going to be worth it to us. We have a $6 PDF, and for $24 you get all 4 issues, which is over 100 pages. It's like 120 something pages of story. And I really don't think you'll be disappointed. So if you're strapped, I get it, but you can get just the digitals. For me, money is great. We need money, but backers are the most important. We just got to get it in people's hands to read it and see that you can trust that it's something you'll enjoy. I was at Vegas Con this weekend, and people were running back to me the next day that bought it, telling me how much they loved it and how cool it was. Peter David said it's written well. Howard Mackey said it's written well. Chuck Dixon said it's written well. And if you don't know those guys, those are solid writers in Marvel and DC. So,
I was going to say, but did you talk to any real writers?
yeah.
No, that's high praise. Those are some of my favorite writers. So,
and they will tell you the truth. They're not going to sugarcoat it. So if they said it's written well, I believe them. So
right, well,
I'm asking you, just put your trust in me, give it a shot. I really don't think you're disappointed, even if you just buy the first PDF for $6.
There you go. Phil, thank you so much for coming on the show tonight and bringing Tragedy with you. That sounds all kinds of wrong, but
Thank you for having me on.
Glad to do it. Let us know when you kick off number 5. We'll do this again. Let's not let 3 issues come between shows again. We'll try to stick with this the whole time.
Awesome. Thank you.
Everybody in the chat, thank you so much for being here tonight. We don't have a show without you. We're just a podcast falling in the woods otherwise. So we're glad to have you. And as always, while you were here, we just hope you had a blast. Good night.